All right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. So good to see so many Zoom cubes, Hollywood squares, something before y'all's time, I'm sure. Um, my name is Josh Christ, and I work with SIU School of Medicine, as you can see from these icons all over the place behind me. And I am working with a team of folks who include members of University of Illinois Extension Office, include representatives from the Area Health Education Center, AHEC, West Central Office, and from Spoon River College, which is based in Fulton and McDonough counties. And on behalf of the team, let me say welcome to all of you. I am going to uh, briefly stop sharing in order to make some room here. So excuse me for just a minute. And all right, y'all. Getting set over here, technically speaking, and I will go ahead and do this maneuver. And again, say welcome to all. So, you've joined us today in a new venture. All of the folks on this team have been working for lots of years. I don't know our combined total number of years, but it's plenty of years doing events in service of getting young folks energized and aware of the numerous various pathways available as you ascend out of high school. And we've been doing these in person, of course, and I needn't, go too much further explaining or exhausting what's happened to our lives in the past year. But we've decided we were committed to doing this, and we wanted to flip it virtually. So over the past several months now, we've been putting together this program for presentation, and you all are joining us for the inaugural event. So welcome, and we're so glad to have you. We have a lot planned, and I'm going to try to do my best to keep it moving along. I am a long-winded person by nature, and I'm just going to do my best to keep it a chugging. So our agenda real fast. I'm going to run it down for us. So we have an intro, a level set. We're going to move through, just quickly touch on the objectives that we're going to cover today and the expectations that we as a group of learners are going to have of each other. We have a tech check, and that's going to be an icebreaker. So we're going to check out the couple different ways that we're going to interact using technologies. And then we'll move into allied health. We're going to have an intro and overview. I'll kind of just describe an intro. Then we'll meet our panelists, and we'll get to hear a little bit of intro from them. And then we're going to move into a moderated panel discussion. We're going to take a quick tour of the Western Illinois University Speech Pathology and Audiology department there. And then we'll come back to our allied health professional panelists. And this will be a chance for you all to ask some questions. So it'll be a learner Q&A or learner Q, panelist A. And then we have an activity, a little activity that's relating dietetics and physical activity. And we're going to go through some employability skills. And hopefully you all took some time to go through the materials that I had sent out earlier. I know some people just registered this morning. You may not have had a chance to go through those materials, but it's always good to reflect on things that we have well developed or we're strong in. But it's also really important to reflect on those things that we should devote our energy and intentions into improving. So. That will be the first half. That's our agenda for the first half of the event today. So, I'm not going to go on too much about myself. The intro, I just said a little about me. I I have more than 10 years experience as an educator, working with folks from as early as first grade, or actually I had a 4-year-old, all the way up to community college level. So wide variety of experiences, but the bulk of my work was with high school doing biology and talented music. And I stepped away from my classroom education position, but I always just cherish working with my students. It was like, and I miss all the time. I miss working with students. So you all are providing me with an opportunity to be back in the mix, and so I'll leave it at that. Um, in terms of level setting, y'all, I just wanted to go through. You all are probably more of y'all are probably more fluent in doing virtual learning sessions than I am presenting, and so you probably heard most of this before, but I did want to just go through it all. This is a place where we want to all be learning, and learning means that we've got to be vulnerable, and so we need to have positive attitudes and be respectful of one another's journey in the learning process. And so we're asking that you exhibit positive attitudes, that you have that you have a distraction-free environment. And we want to hear your intelligent, lovely voices. So please raise your hand and we'll unmute you to ask panelists questions. You can also use the chat box to ask questions as well. If you have gotten to work on some of the preliminary investigation and reflections, please have that ready. Please have those activity materials ready, and something to make notes with. A little note about, oh yeah, make sure your video is on if you can, if you're feeling up to it. We would love to see as many of your faces as possible. A note about social pressure, feeling intimidated. Being brave is a really important and tough thing at your age, but in this setting. So be brave. Unmute and ask those questions. We're all here to learn, and nothing's off limits. Okay, so today we're going to explore various health professions within allied health and women's health. We're going to interrogate the health professional panel, those professionals who have joined us, to broaden our understanding of possible pathways and critically reflect on the skills that you have and the ones that you need to move into a professional mode that suits you. Again, expectations. Let's make the most of the time that we have with these professionals who are donating their time. Ask them questions. Let's get the most out of them. Let's have fun if we can and actively participate. All right, so tech check. We're going to do a couple things right now. Whether or not you're familiar with Zoom annotation function, we are going to practice that. That's going to be something we're going to be doing throughout our meeting together today. So there's a Zoom annotation bits of activity, and then we're going to use Menti. I'm not sure who here has used Menti before, but we're going to be switching off to basically you're going to be using your browser, whether it be on your phone or your computer, your web browser, to access a website, and we're going to do some interactive business there as well. So let's practice. All right, where are we joining from? So if you use the annotate bar at the top of your Zoom screen, drop a star or a heart or one of the Zoom icons on the county where you live. So let's see where folks are joining us from. I mean, I saw the roster as you all were signing up. All right, there's one. We got a Warren County showing up. Big ups, Warren County. Somebody did United States. I like it. We got a Jackie Spence happening. Good job, Jackie. Anybody else? All right, Knox. I see a Fulton County. All right, another Fulton. Good stuff. Okay, a Logan. Excellent. All right, St. Clair. What's up, St. Clair County? Anybody else? We do hope. All right, some more St. Clair. Got a Richland. Got a Clark. I love it. I love it. Another Knox coming in. Stark County, Sangamon. Excellent. Cool. All right. Well, I have to be honest with everybody here. We had a registrant that came through. It was from a different country, so that's why I threw up the world map. Although I like how some of y'all use the United States, uh, use the United States world, part of the world map to let us know where you're at. So appreciate that. I also know that there's some folks from either the St. Clair or the Madison County area who are, I know y'all are in there. So don't forget everybody that's here. I've seen where you're registering from. All right. So next practice, you can either use your phone to scan the QR code, or you can click on the link that Shelby's putting up in the chat box. And let's vote really fast, ladies and gentlemen. Uh-oh. That is my bad. So if you're able to, go to this URL and let's see what we got in terms of responses.
So Josh, you must be
Yes.
app sharing. We are not seeing your Menti screen. We are still seeing your slides.
Got it. Okay. Give me just a minute here and I'll get moving on that. All righty. Coming right up. My apologies. All right. There we go. All right. Here we go. And putting the technical glitches in the technical glitch. All right, so there we go. We got what's it look like? 11, 20 of us. So we had a good response on the elephant, 0 on the tardigrade, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, you all are missing out. I put tardigrade on there for a very important reason. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with the tardigrade. Nobody want tardigrade. Okay. Well, the tardigrade is a pretty impressive beast. So, give me just a minute here while I do this. All right. Where we at, Shelby?
We are still seeing your slides with the Let's Vote Menti voting.
You never saw the Mentimeter?
We did. Yep.
Okay, cool. Give me just one more second then. All right, there we are. So, oh no, a little more glitchy than I thought, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. Um, All right, so tardigrade, real fast. Water bears, y'all. They can withstand almost absolute zero. They can withstand over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. They can withstand the negative pressure, pressure of deep space for years. And so, think twice if you're gonna skip over the tardigrade. They're quite durable critters. So they can they can avoid your eyes popping out of your head in deep space. All right, y'all. So, oh, sorry about that. Oh, I see. Excuse me. You're getting a preview now. A very quick preview. No, you're
No, we're
not.
not. We're just seeing you. You're not
Oh,
screen sharing.
my apologies, folks. Thank you for letting me know that.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Woo. All right, y'all. So, brief allied health intro and overview, ladies and gentlemen. Um, oh, my goodness. Excuse me, y'all. Okay, folks. So to give a quick overview of allied health, the Association of Allied Health Professionals defines allied health. Defines allied health as a segment of the healthcare field that delivers services involving the identification, evaluation, prevention of diseases and disorders, dietary and nutrition services, and rehabilitation and health systems management. So there are 5 million allied health care providers in the United States who work in more than 80 different professions and represent approximately 60% of all healthcare providers. The number of allied healthcare providers is likely to grow as jobs in the healthcare industry will grow from 15.6 million to 19.8 million in the next decade. An increasing number of those jobs will require people with bachelor's and graduate's degrees. So that was the overview. Um, our panelists today are Kimberly Straube. She is a CNA, that's a certified nurse assistant instructor at John Wood Community College in Quincy, Illinois. We have Sandra Hearn. She's Director of Patient Access and Health Information Management at McDonough District Hospital in Macomb, Illinois. We've got Dr. Mike Sharp. He's an audiologist and the coordinator of the Western Illinois University Speech and Language Hearing Clinic. And we have Ashlyn Housewright. She is a dietitian and executive director of community health and wellness for Memorial Hospital, Carthage, Carthage, Illinois. All right, so that's our 4 panelists today. And so what I would like to do right now is I would like to allow for our panelists or invite our panelists to say hello to the audience who's joined us. What I would like for you to do, panelists, Kim, Sandra, Mike, and Ashlyn, is to, I would like for you to, first of all, introduce yourself again. And I would like for you to explain what you thought about your health career, the profession that you're in right now as a high school student. So what did you think about where you're at right now when you were the age of the folks that are joining us right now? I'd also like for you to say what would be the one piece of advice that you might give to our learner audience right now in terms of making the best next step out of high school. So I'd like to start with Kimberly. Ms.
Good
Straub?
morning, Straube, but that's okay. It's Kimberly Straube.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hi, I'm very pleased to be here with you today. I'm Kimberly Straube. I am the CNA instructor at John Wood Community College. When I first started in this in the healthcare field, I had always wanted to be a caregiver. What I found was business management is where I kind of started and then moved into the healthcare field. What I just wanted to make sure I told you students today is just being here on this meeting, the Zoom, I think shows your first step forward. Keep putting that next step forward. Reach out to people that maybe you have a liking to something they're doing, interview them, just keep going forward. You have made the first step in this, but just keep reaching out, find what you want to do. And there's so many advantages these days with scholarships and such. It's an exciting time for you. Grab a hold of the rope and pull along.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next, Sandra. What did you think about health information management and the role that you're in back when you were in high school? And anything else you'd like to share with our audience right now?
So if to go back to high school, which was too many years and we're not going to talk about, I honestly wasn't even geared towards health information management. I'll be honest with you. I knew that I wanted to work in healthcare. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But as my life progressed, I found my calling and I absolutely love health information management. I went back to college in 2008 and thought I wanted to be a medical coder. And as I got through that, it just kept getting more and more exciting. So I went through and got my bachelor's degree in health information management. I absolutely love working in this field. The departments that I oversee here at McDonough District Hospital are the Health Information Management Department, and I also oversee registration and our switchboard. We're a smaller facility, so we directors here have a tendency to wear multiple hats. If I had one thing that I could tell you to do is jump on quick, like Kimberly said. If this is where where your heart is set, don't be me. Don't wait too many years to do it. Get in, get on board. Healthcare is exciting. It's ever changing. It's awesome. If I could redo my last 20 years, I would have been in healthcare much sooner.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Sandra. And then, so swinging around in order, Dr. Sharp, welcome. So glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. So, and like I said, I'm Mike. I'm an audiologist over at Western Illinois University. I also own a private practice, which is where I'm coming to you from now. So I'm up actually in the Quad Cities area at the moment. As far as in high school, kind of like Sandra, I had no idea what audiology was when I was in high school. So it was one of those things where I got to college, still wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I bounced around between a lot of majors before I ended up here. My bachelor's degree is actually in speech language pathology before I went on to grad school for audiology. So I can't really I didn't have an epiphany about audiology at your age. But one thing I would say is if you're interested in healthcare, one of the things you can do to experience it is you can contact, in healthcare because of HIPAA, there's not a lot of job shadowing. But you can definitely contact university programs and talk to people who work in healthcare and actually have discussions with people who do the job, either outside of the workplace or, like I said, if you contact university programs, we are always more than happy to talk to you about career paths, what you can do, that sort of thing. So just to do as much of that as you can to get as good of an idea as possible about what you'd like to do. So you can always find somebody to ask.
Great. Thank you for that. Yeah. So you bring up a really good point that I like to circle back to, which is, as rising graduates take their next steps, and shadowing is oftentimes what, is advice and suggestions that people give. And HIPAA is a concern. So you've laid out a really interesting and important alternative consideration to getting some exposure. So I really appreciate that. And Ashlyn, hello, welcome in, Ashlyn.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey.
Kind of like everyone said, I'm excited to be here. This is such an exciting time for the students that are joining us today. I am a registered dietitian, and I've been a dietitian for 9 years. When I was in high school, kind of like Dr. Sharp said and Sandra, I had no idea what a dietitian was. It wasn't until my freshman year of college that I kind of started to explore the option of nutrition. I knew I wanted to be a nurse practitioner in high school. That's what I was going to be. But then things change and you learn about other careers out there, and you maybe stumble into someone that is in a field that's like, oh, I could see myself doing that. So I actually called Western to talk to someone in the dietetics program to explain to me what I needed to do and what are other roles that dietitians get to do. And then I just moved forward from there. So just because maybe you start somewhere, this will probably be my advice. Maybe you have this, your start in one area of healthcare doesn't mean that it can't open up into other things. That's one of the great things about my profession as a dietitian. There's a lot of options to specialize and maybe areas of interest. So I thought I wanted to be a nurse practitioner to get into women's health, but still that's such a huge component in being a dietitian is supporting women. So there's a lot of options. So don't think because you start somewhere doesn't mean that's where you have to end up. Definitely a lot of options in healthcare. So you're going to learn a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashlyn. Yeah, and so here we are, a set of four professionals who I'll say that just to characterize it, you all are in kind of pretty different facets of service provision, of health service provision. Um, and so, like you were just saying, Ashlyn, there's there's lots just within dietetics. There's lots of opportunities to specialize. Um, but and so I suppose what I would like to hear your reflections on, and it doesn't have to be everybody. We do not have to like continuously go in round robin form, but setting. So setting as in where where you can practice, where can what are the opportunities, the settings that you can practice in, and it seems like there's a quite a wide variety just between you four panelists. CNAs can find themselves working and providing service in lots of different settings, and so I think if either four of you would like to maybe speak to that, because I'm hearing that from you, Ashlyn. Mike, you and I have spoken to that in that regard, between being in a clinical setting or being in an educational setting. So I think that also is a way that we can look at variety, moving forward.
Mhm. I'm happy to jump in. I had, in my career so far, personally, I've worked in a lot of different settings where, I've worked at universities teaching, but there's also clinics and hospitals, small private practices. One of the things too that always doesn't jump out as much is the industry side. So I actually worked for a hearing aid manufacturer for 5 years and was able to do a lot of traveling around the country, that sort of thing. And those jobs exist all over the place in medicine, whether it's allied health or other facets of medicine, where working for pharmaceutical companies, working for equipment manufacturers, all kinds of things like that. And so there's a ton of doors that open just being in healthcare, like we were talking about earlier, that you can start somewhere. Even as an audiologist, I thought I was just going to work in a hospital and that was it. And here I've been an educational audiologist in schools. I've worked for a manufacturer, have my own practice now while I teach at a university. So even when you may end up in a lane in healthcare, there's still a lot of great opportunities within that job that you can specialize and work in lots of different spots. So for at least my journey in audiology has been all over the place. And that's what has attracted me to it. I'm not really good at sitting still. As you probably see me fidgeting just sitting here. I don't normally not long during the day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for adding that. Okay, so I would like to take a break from us talking briefly to take a virtual workplace tour. So, having just heard from Dr. Sharp here, we're going to go take a tour of the of Western Illinois University speech, language, and hearing clinic, and so we're going to go check that out. Um, and here is Shelby bringing it up. Thanks, Shelby.
Well, my name is Dr. Mike Sharp. I'm the audiologist here at Western Illinois.
Gotta like the Zoom distortions. Hey.
My name is Julie Cox, and I'm a speech language pathologist.
Hello there. My name is Amy Burke. I am an associate instructor at Western Illinois University.
I currently am an assistant professor, and I work in the speech language and hearing clinic.
audiologist, it's my job to work with people who have hearing or balance disorders and help them either hear better through technology, through compensation methods, or work with them on potential balance issues.
The field of speech-language pathology is very diverse and is very broad. There are generally kind of two tracks that individuals can take. One is a more educational route, working in the school system with children who are developing speech and language. And the other is usually more of a medical route, working with individuals who have sustained brain injuries, strokes, or acquire neurological disorders that affect their speech, language, cognition, or swallowing.
Audiologists in general work in lots of different settings of hospitals, private practices, even in schools. So there's a wide variety of things that we get to do on a daily basis.
When I was in high school, I never heard of a speech language pathologist, which I should have, because all through grade school I went through speech. I had a bad lisp.
In high school, I knew nothing about what a speech pathologist or an audiologist was.
The path that led me to become a speech-language pathologist, I guess you could say, began in elementary school. I am a person who stutters. I have stuttered my whole life, although many people don't realize that I still do today, thanks to a wonderful speech therapist in my younger days. But honestly, I had kind of forgotten about the field as I went through junior high and high school. The speech therapist in the field, we are very much integrated into a team. Holistic care, a team-based approach, usually shows us better patient outcomes. I work most closely with respiratory therapy, dietetics for those patients where we adjust diets for the swallow, physical and occupational therapy. And the most important team member is always the patient and their family. Their say means the world to us because their goals need to be our goals as well. I think some of the personality traits that make a wonderful speech-language pathologist are, of course, a desire to help people, to help people communicate.
In audiology, we're not a quantity of life profession, but we are a quality of life profession. So we help people to be able to communicate better and to function better in day to day. And so that's a really fun and rewarding aspect of the career and what really drew me to wanting to do that.
You don't have to be the most outgoing person in the world, but you have to be able to talk to people. More so than talk to people is listening.
For having a heart to help and a heart to understand and live through this therapy experience with your clients or your patients.
But I always knew I really liked science and I really liked math. And those two things are really beneficial in this area.
So you don't have to be the person that loves English. I never really liked English a whole lot. I liked math. Math made sense.
And I started to learn that I really liked not only the working with patients, but I loved the technology side of it.
After I graduated with my master's degree, which is the entry-level degree for this field, I immediately began working in healthcare.
I've been here 11 years now, teaching, but prior to that I spent 20 years working in the field as a speech-language pathologist.
I first started in a small private practice, and then after that working for a small, actually for Illinois State University. I taught there. And I was hired by a hospital to start their audiology practice. For 5 years I got to travel the country and other parts of the world working for a hearing aid manufacturer. And then after that is when I landed here at Western Illinois University, and also when I bought my private practice. One of the things that we use primarily in audiology is the Audiometer. And what this machine does is it tests hearing at individual pitches or frequencies, and then we can actually adjust the level of sound that's coming through so we can find the softest level where the patient will still respond on a regular basis. We can also do this with words. We can do lots of other tests, for example, auditory processing evaluations, where we can determine a patient's ability to understand speech not just because of their hearing system, but the actual neurological system that carries that signal up to the brain.
So some things that are really good to think about if this could be a good fit for you. I always wanted to know how things worked. I was the kid that, took the toys apart to see how they fit back together. I loved a good puzzle. I want to know that if I make this muscle stronger, that it's going to fix this problem. So those are some good traits to have if you feel that inside you.
Sure enough, that was where my heart has always been, is working with individuals who have either not developed or have lost their ability to communicate the way that they would like to, or the way that they normally would. Some of the most rewarding moments that I've had with my clients And I'm going to say that I've cried with them, and I have, but they've been tears of absolute joy. So I wanted to show you this because this is my favorite thing that I do. We would work with radiology. So if I had a person that had a swallowing issue, I can't see what's happening inside here. So we would take them to radiology and we would do an x-ray. I'm just going to show you a little bit and then I'm going to make it move. We put them in what we call the fluoro suite, because this is called a video fluoroscopy. And I'd feed them, literally. The voice and the swallowing, all the parts are right next to each other. So when you swallow, you got to stop breathing, otherwise things will go down into your lungs. Now in this one, see how it fell? And you see that line there? That went into the lungs. So now my job is to figure out why that happened and then to fix it. So that is my favorite thing to do.
A lot of the times, some of the most dynamic jobs I've had, like working for a manufacturer where I was traveling constantly and got to see all kinds of cool things and around this country and others, was just because people had me in mind. Could not stress enough just getting to know people and networking, going to conferences, creating those relationships are what then open up so many opportunities for you later on in life.
There's no moment like it. It's the most rewarding aspect of this job by far, for me to help restore that ability to communicate after it's been taken away by a traumatic event.
All right. Thank you so much for playing that for us, Shelby. So that was a little glimpse into speech pathology and audiology. And just within that slice of the spectrum of health professions, there's a lot of different directions you can go, as I hope you kind of picked up from watching the video and also hearing those professionals speak. So I would like to pivot to a question and answer session. So this falls on you all, the folks that are joining us, young learners. We would like to hear from y'all. So you can use the chat box to question to Shelby, and we will go ahead and she'll either ask it aloud, or you can raise your hand to unmute, and then and by unmuting you can ask the question yourself. I mean, quite frankly, I can speak on behalf of the whole production team here. Is we would love to hear you all's voices. Y'all are y'all are our future. Y'all are the rock stars and the healthcare heroes that we're going to rely upon. So we would love to hear your voices. Nonetheless, the chat box rather is perfectly fine place to ask a question. So please, by all means, ask away. Shelby's letting you know, either raise your hand or type a question. All right. So if we're not getting any questions, I am going to. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Desiree.
Hey, Desiree.
I have a question based off of, like how hard it is to usually get into like medical school. So I want to know, like, how was you guys' process, or the motivation that kept you going when it comes to like entering in medical school?
That's a great question, Desiree. Go ahead. Sorry about that, Mike.
Oh, you're fine. The thing about, at least in allied health, it depends on which field you're going into, but most of the time it just takes, when I was in college and undergrad, I had classes that had nothing to do with my career. And those are always a little bit harder, but I will say that when I had a career I was passionate about, taking the courses that were directly involved in where you're going to go and what you're going to do, tend to be a little bit easier as far as motivation wise. Something like full-on medical school, that's one of those things that takes a lot of drive and determination, but it's definitely doable. I found most of the time just putting your mind to it and deciding you're going to do it is one of those things that is half the battle. It's just making sure that that's something you really want to do, and once it is, just go for it.
It's a really good question, Desiree. and thank you for unmuting and asking. And I will just I will just riff on the career ladders theme that we have going through all of these health career events, which is to say that by moving your way stepwise towards, let's say, medical school, not only will you cover some of the coursework, but you can build your knowledge in such a way that when you go to take that MCAT, you've had maybe several passes at anatomy and physiology. And I might even be able to encourage you, if it's an option at the school that you're at right now, if you sign up and gruel through, and I'm gonna use that verb gruel, A and P, anatomy and physiology right now, it's a tough course, but it progressively gets more natural and then by the time you're arriving in something like taking the MCAT to get yourself into a medical school, several passes will make the difference.
Right. We have a couple questions in the chat box, and then we'll move to Ava in just a moment.
Great.
Can you speak to some of the classes needed for speech pathology? Particularly, did you take linguistics classes? And then can you talk a little bit about preparing for the MCAT and how much financial aid might be available for medical schools, if anyone can take any of those?
I can start with the speech pathology classes. A lot of times, whichever college you're applying for will have the requirements of the program in it. So we don't, at least at Western, we don't require linguistics. I mean, you can, of course, but most of the time, any of the classes that you need regarding the speech and language aspect are going to be major courses within the speech pathology and audiology department. There are some other things you can choose. So if that's a passion of yours and you really like linguistics, those are things that you can add on or have as a minor. But it's not a requirement for speech pathology and audiology. As far as like financial aid goes, that's going to be different depending on each university. So those are things that you'll be able to find out and talk to. So for example, if you get into a university, go through a pre-med program, then you would be working pretty closely with your financial aid and academic counselors at the university level to figure out what would be most beneficial for you as far as programs you could use, what's out there for you. Those counselors are worth their weight in gold for being able to figure that out and figuring out your situation and attaching what's appropriate to you for that.
Awesome, thanks. And what was next in queue, Shelby?
Prep classes for the MCAT and then financial aid regarding medical school.
Well, there's a whole sub-industry of getting prepared for the MCAT in terms of businesses who put together materials and prep courses strictly for that test and for other professional degree tests as well. And so honestly, I think that the offerings are plentiful enough where I feel underprepared to comment on maybe which brand name to go follow after. But I will say that there are several reputable, tried and true MCAT prep courses. And then in terms of financial aid, there are certainly many opportunities in that regard, and I would suggest exploring as early as possible the supportive scholarship pathways before going towards the loan pathways. And I don't know if anyone else, I would love to hear from panelists on this in terms of financing your education.
Okay, so I'm going to speak on behalf of the nursing portion. I'm actually the CNA instructor, so I'm the very first class you will be taking. It's actually called Fundamentals in that regards to nursing. But I can tell you there is an enormous amount of scholarships available. I know just I'm in Quincy and Adams County, there are a number of scholarships available. You would probably be surprised at how many businesses put forth $1,000 scholarships, a number of them for high school students. The money's out there, and in this world today, Google is so wonderful. Google it. I think you'll be surprised at how much help is available. Pick what you want to do, and there's a scholarship for it. I would just about bet you on that.
And then, so that just requires doing your homework. You know, it requires some diligence in terms of timeline and getting things together early, especially if you've got some clarity on where you're headed, and also doing the research, which I know the Google search is part of the research, but kind of digging in and looking more closely. And hopefully the schools that you all are in, folks that are in attendance, you can find some support within your counseling staff, and hopefully some of your teachers that can help at least escort you along the way, and guide you and point the way. Mary Jane Clark, who's in attendance here, is also mentioning that the AHEC network is also working to help students with connections for prep classes. And that's a wonderful resource that I'll share at the end of our women's health segment, the work that the AHEC network is doing across Illinois. So those are a couple of responses. And then there was another person.
Yes,
Shelby?
we've got quite a list going. Really quickly, before we move on from the MCAT question, could you share if someone might be okay taking the MCAT without prep classes, or has it been you all's experience as you've worked in the field that it's been necessary to take a prep class?
Prep class will never hurt. Let's put it that way. At least my field, it's not necessary. For us, they require the GRE for graduate school. But as far as an MCAT goes, most of the time, you at least want to get a decent MCAT score, because that's going to be part of the picture for your admission to medical school, if that's the way you want to go. It's just that you'll want at least a decent score on that. So it's one of those things where it's probably worthwhile to do a prep course, or even sometimes they make prep books and study books and that sort of thing that are available for that too. So at least I would say that would be beneficial for you.
Thank you.
All right, Ava Ruggles, if you would like to unmute yourself, you should be able to, and ask us your question.
Okay, so what classes, like besides anatomy and physiology, would you guys like suggest to take for like healthcare classes in college?
In particular, just healthcare in general, maybe not a particular discipline that you're asking about.
Just like medicine, just what classes would you suggest to take, like to learn more about before you go to college to learn about medicine?
Biology and chemistry for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and biochem if that's an option as well. But biochem is something that usually whoops up on people pretty good. But paying attention to advanced level chemistry in general, I would say, if you're asking about what high school coursework you can get yourself into, if you've got a Chem 2 or biochem, those would be absolutely important, because you're going to be facing an organic chemistry course at some point not far down the road, and OChem is kind of whoops up on a lot of people. So being as familiar and stable with your chemistry knowledge as possible would be certainly a big piece of advice.
And in relation to that, are there any extracurricular activities that you can think of that might be beneficial for students to start taking part in now?
Anybody on the panel want to go?
I will. I can tell you that I've held some positions where I was in management, and volunteer work in your community, and it doesn't matter to what regard. It can be Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, just about anything. If you can get your foot in the door becoming a volunteer, those look really good on job applications, on the education applications. Start giving back to your community. It's going to work in your benefit.
Yes, so service.
Service.
Hmm. And this is coming from a person. I'll explain to the group really fast that you are Kim is president of the Quincy Neighborhood Federation, which runs 3 youth centers. She's on the board of directors for Habitat Humanity in Quincy. So this is a public servant that is giving you this advice, and certainly that's an important space to develop as a young person, which would be with service related work.
And are there any specific, kind of common areas that people might be able to volunteer that would pertain directly to a career in medicine?
I can tell you there are a number of organizations. There is for the Alzheimer's Association, always has something major in our communities. Lupus, Special Olympics. There are so many opportunities. Find something that kind of tweaks your interest, and I'm telling you, they would be overwhelmed with joy to get some of the high school students involved. If you haven't already, maybe you are doing this and you don't even realize this is actually could be towards your future career. We used to call it resume building. It was a wonderful opportunity. As we got older, we call it obituary building, but I'll leave it at that.
Great. And Hannah Eden, why don't you go ahead and unmute and ask your question? You've had your hand up for some time.
What do all these careers, like what extra schooling do you have to get into the pediatric side of them?
So pediatrics would be it would be a point in your medical school where you would make that decision to take that pathway. If you're asking when along the route, is that your question, Hannah?
Yeah. Like when you, like for audiologist, like when do you make the choice that you're going to be a pediatric audiologist or something?
So in audiology, and even in speech language pathology in both, when you're in graduate school, you will actually you'll be doing clinical experiences. And in those clinical experiences, sorry, the FedEx person's here dropping some things off, so that was all. Anyway, the thing that you will hear, you'll go through is a lot of clinical experiences, and we'll try to get you adults, children, all of those things. So when you're done with graduate level education, you will feel comfortable deciding, we're going to give you as much experience in everything. And then when you go out in your career path, that's when you're going to specialize and kind of hone that down into the areas where you want to work the most. And that's true for a lot of medical and allied health fields. And I would imagine the rest of the panel can add into that. But a lot of times it's our job as educators to get you as much experience as possible. And then you will, like, for example, in audiology, you can specialize as a balance person. You can work with people who have balance disorders. I don't really do that. So if a patient came in with a balance disorder, I could do a basic evaluation, but I'm going to send them to somebody where that's their specialty.
And then Hannah, I'll say that also, if you're trying to move down the pathway to become a physician, and pediatrics is your desire, that you would make that decision and that specialty as you were progressing through medical school. So
Great. Josh, do we have time for more questions, or do we need to begin the wrap-up process?
Yeah, we are. I did build in some time to take a break, and I'm certainly glad to hear all of the questions. I do wonder if we can pick up some of the questions when we go into our second Q&A segment, which will be with the women's health professionals. So I tell you what, let's do that.
And if you typed questions to me as well and we don't get to them, please go ahead and type them. I'll save the chat and we will pull those and try to get you all some answers via email.
Yes, thank you very much, Shelby. And if you want to just kind of hang on to those questions in queue, and we can also circle back to them once we get into the Q&A section with our women's health professionals, if that sounds good with everyone here. So I had a kinesthetic learning activity that had to do with relating dietetics and personal nutrition and physical activity rather. And so we have all of these rich questions coming from the folks that are joining us, from the learners, have kind of made it such that we really don't have too much time to do the physical activity nutrition investigation, but that's a good thing because you all have plenty of questions. So what I tell you what we're going to do is, rather than take 10 minutes break, we're going to take a 5-minute break. By my clock here at the bottom right of my computer, I've got a 1:26. So we're going to pick up at 1:31. So everyone, all of the learner participants, 5 minutes, we'll take a little break, take a pause, and then we'll pick back up with our women's health professionals at 1:31. Sound good? Let's and on behalf of everybody in attendance right now, I just want to give a huge thank you to the allied health professionals that have joined us here. Really, really grateful that you took some time out of your day, your professional work day, letting in the FedEx person, and certainly if there are particular questions that come up, come to mind from any of the learners who are joining us, and you want to email me, I can definitely channel those questions. If it's for one of our panelists in particular, I can definitely channel that question towards the panelists, and we can get you all hooked up and get an answer to that question. So thank you again, Kimberly and Ashlyn and Sandra and Mike. We're so glad to have you here today. Your generous donation of the time is really appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. All right, that was me talking for some of our break time, but we'll hit a break for about 4 more minutes, okay, ladies and gents? Thanks a lot.
Josh, while they're on a break, I will ask you, because it's easier to ask, have you gotten any emails from any of our other presenters? I haven't seen anyone come in to the meeting recently.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. You must have been able to pop in. Okay.
And I'm
Yeah, I was
here.
watching the last few minutes, like 20. I popped in at 21.
Okay, great. Never mind then.
Oh,
And this is Kelly Yates, and Michelle is with me, but I'm logged in under my personal Zoom account because your link didn't work right.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm also here, Shelby. It's Liesel.
Yes, and Liesl, I got you in a while ago. When you came in, I was able to adjust your settings. Thank
And
you.
You're doing a wonderful job too.
Thank you.
All right, we're trying to get everyone their own computer so we can do without masks. Hold on one second.
Was that was that you, Dr. Ward, speaking right there about getting everyone to be able to be where you don't have to wear masks?
Correct. So, hello, I'm Dr. Ward.
Hey, Dr. Ward.
And right now we're just troubleshooting because our computer was not recognizing the link. And so now I'm trying to get the link on my computer to see if I can just zoom in here.
Well, we completely understand that
I'm
you
going
all
to
are.
adjust something on the link as well.
It says it's for authorized attendees only. Sign in to join.
Yep,
With
and
an email authorized.
And anyone should be able to sign in. You just have to sign into a Zoom account. But let me see if this updates it now that. Okay, you may be able now to not have an issue with that. I changed those settings.
Okay. Oh, it says, please update to the latest version of Zoom. But, oh my gosh. Okay. Michelle, it's updating the computer now, so.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Never mind.
That's okay.
Go hang.
Fine. Thank you.
You're welcome, thanks.
All right, the 12:30 time has come and passed. So I'm going to kick us off real fast and say welcome back, everybody. I don't know if you all went anywhere, and welcome to the situation. Women's health professionals, glad to have y'all here. So I'm going to quickly run through an agenda, and then we'll get right into the intro and the overview. So here we are, our agenda. We'll see, we had more packed in the agenda than we covered in the first half of our event today. So we're going to check in on a reset. We'll get into an intro and an overview. We've got a panelist welcome and a discussion. We're going to take a tour of the Southern Illinois University Medicine Ultrasound Technicians Workplace. And then we'll have a Q&A segment. I got a couple of activities if we have the space for them, but based on the amount of awesome questions we had from our group in the first half of the show, we might just spend our time talking about the nuts and bolts and the ins and outs of being a health practitioner. So let's see here. Give me just a moment. And real fast, just want to reiterate, positive attitudes, please. Distraction-free environment. Ask away. It doesn't seem like we're having any trouble with that. Have your documents that are your preliminary investigation and reflection documents ready. And not a lot of folks have their video on. I get it. I know how that goes. But if possible, turn your video on. We'd like to see your faces. Come out from behind that Zoom curtain and come be in the public forum. So not anything that we'll respond on, but if you were to join the health field today, what role would you play? Think about that, ponder on that. What would you be doing? What type of job? What role would you perform? So that was going to be something I'd get our response on, but we're going to move right past that and get into looking at women's health. So give me just a moment while I stop screen sharing. And we're going to look at all of our tiles, see how many more cameras we have going on. Not too many, but that's all right. So women's health, y'all. So the overview that I have here is that women have unique health issues, and so some issues that affect both men and women can affect women differently. And of course, the unique issues would be pregnancy and menopause, and female anatomy. And women can have a healthy pregnancy by getting early and regular prenatal care. They should also get different types of screenings, including breast cancer and cervical cancer and bone density screenings. And then while women and men have many of the same health problems, they can affect women differently. And so, likelihood for negative outcomes with heart attacks, depression and anxiety, there's a kind of an unequal outcomes there. So that's why we're looking at women's health today in this segment. And so I'm going to go back to screen sharing. I'm going to narrate my actions right now. And so here's our panelists. Took me a little minute. Sorry about that, everybody. So we've got with us today an awesome crew. We've got Michelle DiMatteo, I hope I said that right, radiologic technologist and ultrasound technician at Kernodle Clinic. We've got Lisa Wingert. She's a doula and a program coordinator with SIU Medicine. We've got Kelly Yates, a labor and delivery nurse and is the clinic supervisor at Kernodle Clinic. And Dr. Chelsea Ward, who is a OB-GYN physician at Kernodle Clinic. I've got you all's bios on cue, but based on the amount of questions that we had in the first round, I think maybe we should just get right to, we'll take the, I'd like to go and do a round of hellos, a round of individual intros. So along with that, folks, panelists, I'd like for you to just say hey. I would like for you to give our audience your best bit of advice as these rising graduates ascend into pathways of within the health professions, and then the lanyard piece. I'd like to say, what's a little known talent that you have that maybe folks in the clinic don't see? All right, so a hello, a tidbit of advice, and a little known talent. Take it away, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle DiMatteo. Nice to meet everybody. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. Tidbit of information about me. I was shy, and this job definitely, you can't be shy. So as the years went on, I became more social and had to talk to my patients. Also, I would say, it's hard. Bit of advice.
Yeah, a little piece of
you
advice.
You have to be patient with your patients. That is my advice.
Okay. Yeah, that's a critical one. Little known talent. What do people that come in and out of your clinic not know that you have as a talent? Or maybe they know.
That's hard too.
Do you yodel?
I am very anal about my work. I'm very particular.
Okay, that's a talent.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. Liesl, hello.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here. As Josh said, my name is Liesl Wingert, and I am the Eastern Region Program Coordinator for the SIU School of Medicine. I am also a doula. I have also been a childbirth educator as well as a lactation consultant in my long life so far. So I'll throw that out there. We're going to talk more about being a doula later. As far as a piece of advice, keep your eyes and ears open and understand that when you start college, your desires and your goals and your ideology about what you want to do may very well change 20 years later. I had no idea about what a doula did. I knew that I wanted to be in some type of medicine, but I also enjoyed the social work realm. And so I don't even think doulas were a thing back when I was in college, but as I moved through my program, I ran into that. So be willing to look at new opportunities and understand that things change over the years that you are working, and that's okay. That is perfectly fine. I don't know about a little known talent. I'm not a terribly talented person. I like to cook. I like to bake, especially. So I don't know.
Okay. Culinary talent is talent indeed. And I won't out you about your singing voice, but but I just outed you. So there you go. Everybody that's in attendance here, Lisa and I are colleagues. We know each other outside of just this meeting right now, and so Lisa could sing. I'll just say that. All right. Thanks so much. And Kelly.
Hi.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi. Let's see. Advice would be patient. And, I started off on this journey. I took a health occupations class when I was in high school and ended up going a completely different direction for probably about 15 years before I fell into nursing. Trying to be patient with yourself and don't be discouraged if things don't go on a linear path, that you may learn some things along the way that help you down the road. So, and a talent, Lord. I like to refinish furniture.
Cool. Yeah. Take it something that might be out on the trash pile and turning it back into something useful and pretty. I hear that. Cool. And Chelsea, Dr. Ward. Hey.
Dr. Ward, you still are on mute.
Muted.
Sorry,
Still
now you can
muted.
unmute.
Okay, hello. Hi everybody. I was scrolling through and it seems like there's a great amount of people on that are not videoly active, but there's some pretty pictures on there of each of you. So my name is Dr. Ward and I am an OB-GYN. I'm down the hall from Michelle and Kelly. They are in a different room. We all work together. And my advice, well, I always have advice. The first thing is to listen to your gut. If your gut is telling you something's not right, it's not right. And don't try so hard to make it so, right? There's some things there's a difference between trying hard and giving your best effort and then trying to make something that isn't working work. The best, something someone told me once was, don't spend a lot of time or don't continue to make a mistake because you spent a lot of time making it. So listen to your gut. The second piece of advice kind of mirrors Kelly's, and that is, and Liesel's as well, is that you may start off on a road that goes in a totally different direction than where you thought it was going to lead. And sometimes it's just cool to roll with it because you never know what opportunities might be right around the corner or where your interests might turn. I went to medical school when I turned 30. I started college when I was 17 and I studied graphic arts. And I like to draw and I like to paint and I like to create things and I still do it, but I do it in the context of my work now. And I do it because it brings me joy. And I did not want to have my occupation be something that required me to create all the time. I knew that that was something I didn't want to link into a pressure situation. And one of the other things I learned along the way was that I like to work with my hands. So when you're thinking about occupations and the way that you can potentially insert yourself into the vast field of healthcare, think of how you want to spend your day. Do you want to be at a desk? Do you like filing? Do you like organizing? Do you like standing? Do you like running around? Do you like quick exciting things and then like low times? Do you want to be pressured? Do you not want to be pressured? Things like that. It's not stuff you think about, like you see it on TV and you're like, oh, I want to do that. And then you realize I'm going to have to stick my finger up somebody's butt every single day of my life. Like that might not be the gig for you, right? They don't show that on television, but that is something that a proctologist has to do. So anyway, just listen to your gut, stay the course that veers left and right, and give yourself a breath if you think that where you're at is where you're going to be in 10 years from now, because it may not.
Little known talent.
Oh, Mr. Christ is going to want to tell you that I write rap songs. But, boy, I have a lot of talents there, sir. I can stick my foot behind my head. I'm bendy.
All right. Impressive. Thank you for that, Dr. Ward. Really
You're
appreciate that.
No problem.
And so what I skipped over, y'all, is kind of running through it and narrating for the audience, for the learners in the audience, you all's bios. But Dr. Ward, Chelsea just mentioned, that there's a veering of left and right, and that there's so much that is ahead of us that not only can we not see it because it's past the bend in the horizon, but we don't even know those things that are beyond the horizon. And so the message of being open to that, which I am now just reiterating what part of what the message that Chelsea just shared with us. And so I would like for the panel for us to try to explore that a little bit and maybe give out the advice or give out the words, put into words what that might mean, because I think that for a lot of, I know for myself when I was in high school, everything's just seemed really fixed in terms of how, how to go down a road, and they're not fixed, and the unknowns are unknown, and they do happen as an absolute certainty. They happen. So I wanted to access that with our audience, with the rising high school graduates, these future healthcare professionals. And so does anybody have a further comment here in terms of our panelists? Or did I just kind of comment it all up?
You commented it all up there.
Okay. Well, I
have one thing to say. I was terrible at biology and in high school. I was awful. I got C's maybe. And so I was discouraged to go this path. And it didn't even occur to me that I could possibly be a doctor or be a nurse or anything that had anything to do with science stuff, because I was bad at it. And it turns out that I had a learning disability. We didn't find that out until I was in medical school. And I have dyslexia, and I couldn't read really well. The interest was there. The ability to process the information was there. I just didn't read it. I couldn't understand it. So it took me a long time to get to a point where I was sure about trying it. I took one class. I took one biology class at a community college. And if I passed it, I was going to go for it. If I didn't pass it, I was going to bartend for the rest of my life. So obviously I passed it, but it took a lot of self-talk into convincing myself to try that, jumping off that one ledge. So again, the gut thing, but that, again, the road is very awkward, and it's an okay place to be.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I would like to. One of the themes that we're kind of threading throughout all the events throughout the spring is team approaches. And so, yeah, I kind of wanted to explore that. I was doing some preliminary reading, and I was coming to understand that as our healthcare systems shift to kind of reinvest in community health workers uh, and other other roles that can more directly support communities that have been either overlooked, passed over, marginalized, under-resourced. And one of the things I learned was just how valuable the role of the doula is. And so I wanted to try to thread in both how doulas function in the team approach, and any of you all's insights on that. And
I can start with a statistic that, and then Liesl can jump in, please, and Kelly probably as well from her experience in labor delivery. So we do a whole bunch of stuff on the labor and delivery floor and in intrapartum and prenatal care and during labor to try and reduce the number of C-sections that we do. It's a hot topic, and throughout the years, our rates were going up, and there are a lot of reasons behind that, and not all of them are avoidable. But the one proven method, we've got electronic fetal monitoring, we've got all kinds of stuff in there that makes all kinds of stuff. Every single intervention that we have, that we do, has no bearing whatsoever on reducing the rate of C-sections or the rate of cerebral palsy. The one intervention that we do have that reduces the rate of cesarean delivery is a doula in the labor room. So simply by being in the room, your rate of C-section reduces.
hey,
Take it away, Liesl.
Liesl, what's up,
Oh my goodness. I love you, Dr. Ward. Can I come
We
work
love
for
you right back. Thank you.
Can I come work for you? Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. First off, one thing I want to do, typically on the high school realm, most high schoolers don't know what a doula is. And so I want to just real quick tell you, a doula is basically, in formal terms, a professional labor and birth assistant. We're not the doctor. We don't deliver those babies. We're not the nurse. We're not starting IVs and hooking up monitors or any of those things. A doula is there to be one-on-one with that mother and that birthing mother and her partner, and in a supportive way with the OB-GYN or the physician, the provider that's delivering, and the nursing staff. The doula is the one person on that grouping that does not work like a nurse. A nurse might work at 8, 10, or a 12-hour shift. Your doctor is going to be in and out of the room and will be there to deliver the baby, obviously. Your doula never leaves. Your doula is there with that birthing mother from beginning to end. So
She does take a pee break, just letting you know. Occasionally.
That's something that's a little bit different from a doula perspective. So our job is a little bit different. We don't do the clinical stuff, but we understand everything that's going on because we are well trained to do that. And I think that that's an important piece. I love what Dr. Ward said, that doulas having the presence of a doula there, working hard and doing her job, can help increase, and this is very generic terms, positive birth outcomes. So we might talk about lowering that C-section rate, and that's a big deal. We might talk about lessening the use of pain medicines. Not a have to, but possibly, very probably. Doulas by trade, I need to also explain that the very first doula, the person that created being a doula, was actually a physical therapist. And she looked at the way the body worked in terms of childbirth and said, you know what, there's got to be ways that we can help that process of birth along to maximize what the body can actually do. And so, Josh, is it okay for just a quick minute? I've got a few pictures I want to show folks. Can we set up a screen share?
We sure can. Give
And
me
I
just
promise I'm not going to take over, but I want to show so that students get a visual.
You can do that right now. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Let me. Well, okay. I can't get through. Okay, this is what you're going to see. I'm sorry. That is the formal definition of a doula. There's a birth. You can see the birth team, the doctors delivering the baby. You can see the nurse there, but you can see the woman to the left side. That is the doula. And I also want you to look at oh, there we go. Next slide. You can look down at those bottom pictures. You can see the doula in some funky positions there, working with the woman's pelvic bones in that very first picture to help maximize the space through the pelvic pathway for the baby to come down. You can see the doula in the middle picture giving support, helping this woman to breathe through the contractions. And in that third picture, it kind of looks like she's holding that woman up. That's a position that allows gravity to work with the birth process. And then on this last slide, you can see that middle picture really stands out. Us doulas, we get up in that bed and she is actually doing something called a double hip squeeze that helps to open. It helps to actually widen the birth pathway for that baby. Top picture, you can see she's helping to start the breastfeeding process. Us doulas spend a lot of time in awkward positions doing awkward things, but we are there from beginning to end of that labor and delivery, and that's our job. So we're a little bit different from the rest of the medical team. Sometimes hospitals have us on staff, and I'm done screen sharing, so that's good. Sometimes hospitals have us on staff, and sometimes we're not. Sometimes a woman and her partner or spouse will actually hire us privately to come work for them and be there. And therein lies where I'm so excited to hear Dr. Ward say, doulas do good things, essentially, because I do run into physicians that do not want a doula in the room for a variety of reasons. I've been very blessed not to have to do that. My specialization is actually teen pregnancy. So I'm used to working with you guys' age group out there. And my role extends in a lot of ways. So helping to keep you in school and if you want to breastfeed, making that workable within the school system. But I also kind of have another goal, which is to get you on past high school and encourage you on out to get a higher education degree so that you can do big things. So anyway, that explains a little bit about what a doula does. I'm hoping maybe that'll spawn some questions, and I hope I didn't say too much there.
No way. Thanks, Liesl. And it sounds to me like you've just communicated that your support of the mother goes all the way out to making sure and advocating for continued schooling and for support along a way longer trajectory than just the arrival of the new child. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What I'd like to do, if it's okay, we have a virtual workplace tour queued up, and it's a tour of an ultrasound technician's workspace. So it's pretty brief. It's about 5 minutes, and Shelby is ready to roll. Thank you, Shelby. So here is an ultrasound clinic. Like that soundtrack, huh? Mm-hmm.
My name is Jackie Patterson, and I am the ultrasound manager of the Central Sonography Unit at SIU Medicine. So we do lots of OB-GYN ultrasounds on a daily basis. For the general OB department, we do dating ultrasounds to determine how far along a pregnant mom is. We do anatomy ultrasounds to look at a fetus from head to toe to make sure they're developing normally. We also do GYN ultrasounds to look at the uterus and ovaries if a patient is having pain or irregular cycles, different things like that. And we also do ultrasounds in another department, but for those patients who are having trouble getting pregnant and really desire pregnancy, we do specialized ultrasounds for that. Well, ultrasound is kind of a specialized skill, specialized modality within the radiology world. So it takes someone who is willing to work hard to improve their skills, pay attention to detail, and then in the OB-GYN world, when we're looking at babies, you have to have kind of a warm and fuzzy personality, but the patients want you to be really bubbly with them. They're really excited, but we also have to be empathetic to our patients because here we do see a lot of bad things, and we go through that with our patients also. But we definitely see way more good than bad. So the important thing with ultrasound and being a sonographer is to remember that oftentimes you're the first person to know that something really bad is going on, whether it be that a baby doesn't have a heartbeat or there's a really bad fetal anomaly where the baby didn't develop appropriately. For example, the heart looks, like it's really, one side of it's really small and it's not working right, but you're always the first person to know that something is not good. You have to have good patient rapport, and just know, you can tell if you can, how much you can talk and interact with a patient. We laugh with our patients, we cry with our patients. We go through a lot with them. We probably desensitize ourselves in a sense, but that doesn't mean we don't forget each patient. We don't not go home and think about them. I went to X-ray school. I just picked X-ray school because I was interested in it and I thought it sounded like a good thing to try. I started in a hospital doing general ultrasound for a couple years. I always wanted to do general ultrasound. I did not want to do OB ultrasound. I just thought, I don't want to do babies. I don't want to mess with it. I want to save people's lives. I had a chance to scan some babies and that was it. I found my niche with the babies because they're very challenging, because they can move around, so you're always chasing a moving target. To get those pictures every single time is not always possible because the baby can be laying in a different position to make it so you can't see the heart, or they're looking at mom's back so you can't see their face, so it's just always a challenge to try and get those really nice images. So like I said before, every baby is a challenge. Performing ultrasounds is a specialized skill in that the transducer does give us our image, but we have to work really hard to get that image. Babies lay different ways. We have to direct our sound certain directions to make sure we get the image. For example, just to see the side view of this baby, I have to come over here, increase my depth so that my sound waves travel further, and then I can also zoom up so that we can see baby a little better and get a more optimal diagnostic image for the doctor. I think when thinking about a career choice for me, as a young adult, I knew I wanted to go into healthcare, but I also knew I didn't want to be a nurse. Ultrasound is a great career choice, so for anyone who would be interested in getting into that, I would encourage lots of research, jumping right into getting some of those general education courses out of the way, like anatomy and physiology, medical terminology, maybe even get a job in a healthcare clinic or a radiology department as a tech assistant, or even just a CNA, to even work in any type of healthcare field, just to see what happens with patient care and get an idea of the medical profession in general. The thing with ultrasound is you learn a lot every day, so every time you perform an exam you get better and better. So it's not just about the school side of it. but school is very important. Sometimes it takes a collaborative effort of other team members to go in and try and get the images to help you out, or you need another set of eyes to see something that you think might look just a little bit off. I had a chance to scan some babies, and that was it. I loved it.
Awesome. Thanks, Shelby. So what I'd like to do now is I know that our first segment in Allied Health had tons of questions, and we had so many that we didn't actually get to answer them all. So I would like to reserve perhaps the remainder of time, just from here forward at least, for questions and answers. But before we go into that, I did want to just open up the opportunity for any of our panelists, maybe even in particular Michelle, if you have any comments on the role of ultrasound technicians, or on what we just heard from Jackie Patterson.
Sure. My suggestion is to, shadow as many jobs as you can, especially the imaging, field, radiology, sonography, because it's not for everybody. And imaging, I've always loved. It's a passion of mine. It's really interesting because you get to, see your patients quite often. They come back and see you. You get close to them. But it is rewarding.
Can I interrupt you just to ask, if you don't mind, just describing with just a little bit more how shadowing is, or maybe how our audience could get themselves into some shadowing opportunities?
I shadowed at a couple local hospitals before I got into radiology. I called the HR department and asked if I could shadow. I was in college at the time, in radiologic sciences, and they said that was fine. Now, a lot of places will let you do it, but I don't know with COVID and everything now what their protocol is. But I shadowed just for a day or two at each facility to see if that was something I really wanted to do.
Great. Thanks for letting me interrupt you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
And if you wanted to continue on, I know that wasn't an interruption, so.
Oh, you're totally fine. But yeah, ultrasound is a very rewarding job. I've been doing it for 20 plus years now. Especially with OB-GYN, I have done it off and on throughout the years. I specialized in thyroid ultrasounds. I worked at a hospital doing a variety of ultrasounds, and now I'm specializing in OB-GYN. So there's a lot that you can do with ultrasound. You can do echoes, fetal echoes, vascular. You can work in the OR. You can do general sonography, which is gallbladders, livers, kidneys, things like that. You can do OB. So there's a lot that you can do with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. So it looks like our first question, we've got our hand up, is Isabella. Isabella, just one moment. You should now be able to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, Isabella.
Hi. So I have wanted to go into the medical field for pretty much since I was probably 9 or 10 years old. And so just within the last few years, I decided I wanted to be an OB-GYN. And I was just curious, how much schooling is that? Like I know that you've got to get your bachelor's and then go into medical school, but like what happens after that?
Sorry, I said you never sleep again. Isabella, that's great. It's a very, very rewarding career. So I went to school for 27 years. And I actually just signed up for more school, which is probably a dumb idea, but I'm doing it anyway. Primary education. I started college in the arts, and then I quit And then I did a bunch of other stuff in between. And then I went back to school. I started in community college. Then I went to university, and then I graduated at 29. And then after that, you go through 4 years of medical school. If you go straight through, if sometimes you might take a year to do something else, or you might want to get an advanced degree in that, like master's in public health, or your MBA, a law degree, or PhD. Most schools will give you a few years off in between your studies to achieve that part of the degree, if that's what you wanted. Otherwise, it's a 4-year degree usually. And then after that, there's you have to pick your specialty, and it's a difficult decision for most people, but some have their path like totally straight on, and that goes along with being open and listening to your gut. So, I mean, I have a friend who wanted to be an anesthesiologist, and she could remember, and she's an anesthesiologist. I went to medical school to be a pediatric oncologist, and I am so not that. So there are things you will learn about yourself along the way. A friend of mine wanted to be a surgeon, and the moment he stepped into the operating room, he passed out, hit his head, and he didn't want to do that again. So 4 years of residency, which is what an OB-GYN residency at this time entails. And then that's when you graduate, and you have OB-GYN at the end of your name. And then there are subspecialties after OB-GYN residency, which are where you start to really discipline yourself in one particular place. There's a very, like, if you just wanted to be a regular doctor, like there's a pediatrician, they see kids of all ages. They don't specialize in anything but kids. And then there's internal medicine, which is adult medicine. Same thing, just kids, adults. So off of internal medicine, you'll hear cardiologist or gastroenterologist or pulmonologist. All of those people went through internal medicine and then did a fellowship in whatever that specialty is, subspecialty. So cardiologist went to fellowship in cardiology. In OB-GYN, there are several subspecialties that require further training. Most of them are 3 years in length. Some of them are 2. None of them are 1. That would have been nice. But, and then once you graduate from that, then that's your subspecialty. So that's where you would see like a reproductive endocrinologist is an OB-GYN that went to extra fellowship training in order to just focus on fertility, as well as the endocrine component of the women's reproductive cycle. I want to say one thing to all of you guys out there. OB-GYN is not only pregnant women. It's all women of all ages. My youngest patient is 4. My oldest patient is 105. No, sorry, 100 and half a year. I gave her the 6 months because she made it that far. 100.5, yes. So, and I take care of everybody in between. So if you're thinking you're just going to do babies and that's all you want to do, then you might want to think of midwifery or being a doula, because I do way more than just pregnancies. In fact, I do the least amount of thing that I do is pregnancy. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it's fun and joyous and all kinds of emotions going on there, and it's a good time. But I do a whole lot more that's not that. So 27 years, Isabella. Don't follow
All
my
right,
ass.
thank
That's the way
you.
it's gonna go. You're welcome.
Great. So now I would ask if to anyone in the room, if what kind of student you were and maybe how you addressed that if you weren't the best student. How did you handle that to get to where you wanted to be?
Can I interrupt for just a second? I know that the theme of this thing was team approaches, but I feel like we hadn't actually hit on that yet. So I really wanted to mention that. Nobody does their job in a vacuum, and I could never do my job if I didn't have the support staff around it. And I always think of the job that I do it pales in comparison to the job that everyone else does. So in here on our panel, we have Lisa that has spoken about being a doula and her phenomenal job that is. She is just side by side with the woman and the man, or the other woman, or whomever's in the room, the support persons. And I mean, it is an endurance challenge, and it's phenomenal. But we also have a labor and delivery nurse with us, and that person is equally as important in that room. I mean, they're the ones, if they don't have a doula, they're acting as a doula. They're in there changing positions, making sure everybody's okay, doing a lot of work. And we depend on them. And all success is based on communication and having a good team. So Kelly hasn't said much, but I really would love for her to intervene or speak, because the team approach is vital. Kelly's also runs our clinic. She's now in charge of our clinic. She's taken a step back from being in the everyday labor and delivery side, which is exhausting. It's hard work, but it's so rewarding. And she's now taken all of the skills that she's developed in that and translating it into a administration position. And then the sonography position part of it, our assistants, all kinds of people. There's so many jobs in the circle, the team, that you're voiceless, and you will not have success if you don't have those people and appreciate those people, or are those people. So that's what I wanted to say. Sorry.
It's good. It's good. If you wanted to riff on that, Kelly.
On the hospital side, definitely teamwork is important. If you're, as a nurse, you're in the room, in and out of the room all the time, the whole time you're on your shift, on your feet. And not every person has a doula, which it would be fabulous if every laboring mom had a doula. They are such a key component to the work that's being done. But some people choose not to have one. And if you don't have a doula, then the nurse takes over a lot of that role. And so a lot of the slides that Liesl showed you, the nurses do that. And I taught childbirth classes for 14 years. And we would teach those exact same positions and show the support person how to do those positions with a laboring mom, so that, if you're doing other things, maybe the support person, her mom or her other support person could do the double hip squeeze or help her do some position changing to try to, help that labor process along. But also in the teamwork, you have your, if you have a C-section that needs to happen, you have a whole OR team that has to jump in and help you with those things. You have your CNAs or your techs that help you with any other needs that the mom might have. You have nursery nurses, you have dietary, you have lab. I mean, the network of people who care for a single person is just so extensive. It's beyond being able to tell it all. From the first time they come in the office for a pregnancy test, and then an OB scan, and then they get all the information packets, or somebody has to put that information together to hand that woman when she comes in. So anywhere along the line, you don't have to be happy to stick a needle in somebody in order to be part of healthcare. And so I think that's really important to know. Know what your skills are, know what you are good at, and it's okay that if you're not good at something, that you can still do it. You mentioned a little bit earlier about what kind of student you were. The first time I went to school was for elementary education, and I was a really lousy student because I was there to not really study, and I didn't find the value in it. And it wasn't until later that I went back to school and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I found my joy and my passion. And so don't go to school just because that's what's expected of you. Make sure that you really are doing this for what makes you feel like that's what you want to do with your life and brings you joy and is the path you want to follow. Don't do it because it's what is expected by someone else. Because if it's not coming from your heart, you're not going to find joy in it. So.
Yeah, thanks for covering that. That's a really important thing. And I think for a lot of, all I can do is relate to my own experience when I was, a junior, senior in high school, and feeling those pressures you just spoke about. And also, seeking, but not knowing what I was seeking, if that makes sense. So wanting, looking for things, but also not knowing what the heck to focus on and to look for. And that just takes that just takes life experiences, I believe. Shelby, did you have anything else queued up?
I do not immediately have any questions. I would say that if anyone had any questions that kind of came up as our wonderful panelists spoke, I think it was so powerful to hear that there are so many different levels, and maybe you are very interested in something, but not ready to make, a super long-term commitment to school. There's a lot of different educational requirements that you can still be part of this incredibly valuable process.
Heard that.
And Josh, can I jump in real quick?
Absolutely,
I want to
please do.
point out, I'm going to kind of follow along the same thread that Dr. Ward and Kelly and is it Michelle? Did I get the right name? Are talking about, in terms of you may not know right now for sure what you want to do. It is okay theoretically to get a bachelor's degree in something other than a medical field, and you still have the opportunity to go to medical school later. There are programs out there. I know SIU School of Medicine has one, has a bridge program that we call Med Prep. There are programs like that all the way across the United States, multiple ones, that if you get a bachelor's degree in, let's say, elementary education, or maybe it's to be a middle school biology teacher, and you decide 10 years later that you want to go to medical school, there is a bridge program that will help you take those classes that you need and get you through the Mcat and help you with the application process to medical school, which is very different and very competitive across the board. And just to give an example, just to get into the SIU School of Medicine, we have 72 slots open per year. And we usually have anywhere between 12 and 1,400 applicants for those 72 spots. So all that volunteering, all of that, taking your classes, getting experience, looking around, shadowing is going to play into getting you into medical school. But my point is that it's okay to shift gears. You can still get into medical school. It just may look a little bit different. It might take a little bit longer. Also, another plug for community college is an excellent, excellent place to start. Get those couple of years out, get them under your belt. Your classes are going to be smaller, which means if you're struggling with organic chemistry, hello, that's why I did not go to medical school. It was going to take me 10 years to get through organic chemistry. If you're struggling with that, your class size is going to be smaller. Your teacher, your instructor is going to be more available to you more than likely. And so, and also you can probably go to community college, if not debt-free, pretty close. You can find ways to do it. And that's an excellent start as you're looking at maybe 12, 13, 14 years of higher education total to get your medical degree. So keep those things in mind. And I can't stress enough being willing to look into shifting gears. We hear that often as with our medical students. It's not uncommon to have a 25-year-old come through, or a 30-year-old or even older that comes through and wants to apply to medical school. So
and if I
wanted to stress those things.
If I can interject too, also, I want to give props to all of you attending, because this action that you've taken just in and of itself is in a lot of ways a demonstration that you're committing yourself to furthering yourself. Now, whether or not it winds up being in a health profession, I mean, certainly, I think the folks that are on the production team and the panelist team will be rooting for you to go along the pathway towards a health profession. But I'm just going to talk about dedication in and of itself, and so I just wanted to give everybody here a shout out for making the time and making the space. Perhaps it was assigned to you, and maybe you didn't have a choice because perhaps the teacher's like, no, you're going to do this thing. Nonetheless, I'm going to assume that you all are choosing this, and so that is in and of itself is worthy of praise. And I'll also just say that I am a he for she ally, and with the exception of it looks like one other attendee, I'm surrounded by a bunch of rock star women. And so I just wanted to give a big old shout out on that front. And so, so I'm your ally for sure. It's rolling up towards the end of our session. And I wanted to share one thing that I just cannot help but share. I do want to direct everyone's attention to the chat box. Shelby has dutifully been dropping some kind of next steps information into the chat box. And I will also give everyone a heads up. We would love it if you take an additional 2 minutes, max 2 minutes, when you step away from this gathering to complete a survey. It's very, very brief. It is very, very lightweight, nothing crazy. And so if you could just, you'd be doing us a service by going ahead and following the link that Shelby just put up. All right. Now I'm going to share my screen, and I just wanted to share this one little thing as we end. So everybody in attendance here, I was like, hey, panelists, and what's a little known talent you have? Or, hey, panelists, don't forget that while these folks might be, they might be providers, healthcare providers and professionals within, well, in the professional sphere, let's say, and but we're whole people too, we're multifaceted and complex, just like you. We do random things, and we have random talents. And so, in service of that, in that statement, give me just a minute, and I will. Oh no, I'm messing things up. All right, here we go. Here we go. Look who that is, folks. Let me.
Contraception.
Okay, this is Dr. Ward's talent.
All right, stop. Everybody listen. I am here with a not new invention. Something happens under the covers. 9 months later, get a sister or a brother. Will it ever stop? No, because we're mammals. Right up there with the monkeys and the camels. To the extreme, we put the weight on the woman. Her responsibility to keep the baby out the womb. What? I know it makes no sense. We put all it on the ladies and nothing on the gents. Well, I'd like to take a minute. Just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became an advocate for women everywhere. My name is Chelsea. I went to school. I got an MD. And now I'm here. I'm taking care of all the ladies. And nothing gets me so ornery as sexual inequality, a problem that has got to be a #1 priority. The focus should never be solely on maternity, because you know and I know it takes two to tango. Abandoning paternity should be a felony, because consequently we lose the whole context of family, putting it all on the woman to make the hard choices. She's voiceless. And that is a travesty, because ultimately it's everyone's responsibility. We both play a role preventing unintended pregnancy. So ladies, let's have a birth control battle with songs from the 80s. Guys over there and girls come with me, and we'll have a demonstration of this disparity. 1, 2, 3. You down with OCP? Yeah, you know me. You down with IUD? Yeah, you know me. You down with Nuva Ring? Yeah, you know me. You must be celibacy. Yeah, you know me. We got the depot, the diaphragm, and neck split on. Shoot, I have a flippin' app that tells me when it's safe to get it on. Girls, take a walk. Let's see what the guys got. That ain't a lot. You say you're from Mars and we're just from Venus? You think of something more than covering up your penis. It's an organ used carelessly. I end up a single mama drama with my grandma on TV. Look, I know it's a taboo subject, but the science and the fellas ain't on the same page yet. You've been conditioned to dissing the women from the beginning. Listen, you think Adam did none of the sinning? This isn't an attack on your masculinity. All we want is y'all to have some accountability for what comes next after sex and your happy ending. Gotta start amending the message that we are sending to our daughters, our sons, our nephews, our niece. We gotta change the way we teach the birds and the bees, please. I'll still want control of my menstrual cycle, but your swimmers don't all need to be gold medal winners like Michael. So here's to the future as we ride through the past. We're coming at you hard, strong, and fast. If pregnancy isn't your goal while you're getting it, then you should be doing something more to be preventing it.
All right, and there's a mic drop. So there's
Told you I
the
was a rapper.
That was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
almost not appropriate for our high school population.
No, that's the population. That's
very
it.
appropriate. Very
Girls,
appropriate.
it's not all your responsibility. Just saying. You know?
So
Somebody's got to say it. I got a TED Talk waiting to go.
yeah, so I just wanted to, and then one last piece of information, everybody in attendance. Chelsea's my sister, so I get to claim that actually. Yeah, right. That's a gold star for me being related to her. Also made it really easy to find an OB-GYN to talk to y'all today. So, folks, you all have my email because I've emailed you a couple of heads up messages. And so if something comes to mind, either if it needs to be directed to these awesome health rock stars that you've been with today, the panelists, or if it's just a general like next step type of question, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Again, Shelby has dropped in some links in terms of next steps. She just dropped in my email address. There's a survey that we would all really appreciate if you could take just a couple more moments of your afternoon to follow and complete. Won't take long. It's painless. And then I'll also say that we have once a month Field Trip Fridays. So there's one coming up. Let me make sure this is right. We have one coming up on February the 19th. Our following one is March the 12th. And then we have one on April 16th. So I think some of y'all are signed up for them already. If you haven't, follow the link that you signed up, that you used to sign up for this one, and you can peruse the options there. And we'd love to see you join us again on some of these Fridays.
Can I say something?
Absolutely. Hit it.
To all of the people out there that are considering a degree in health professions, whether it's a radiology degree or whether it is a nursing degree, physician assistant, physician, or anything else. I don't know if there's a doula degree, there's a certification. You can volunteer your butt off. You can show up. It's not really, most volunteering is really not that fun. Shadowing, you might get a day or two in there. But if you don't have something really interesting to talk about yourself when you get to those interviews, you're going to be passed over for somebody else. So it doesn't matter if you like to go fly fishing, or if you are a ice skater, or if you have an interest in whittling wood, whatever it is, highlight that. Give them something to talk to you about that you are already passionate about, because that's going to translate into what they want to see when they are interviewing someone for a position for the career advancement in medicine. They want somebody that they can relate to. They want somebody that's got passion in something anyway. So, I wasn't a rapper then. I'm a singer. And so I talked about that. I was a waitress, and that's mostly what I talked about, because you need teamwork and waiting tables. So whatever it is, just to have something that makes you more human. Nobody cares that you've spent 120 hours volunteering at the hospital or shadowing a neurosurgeon. Nobody. They want to know what you are. They want to know what your interests are. So highlight it. Do that.
And cultivate them as you live your life. It'll bring you joy.
Yeah, they want to see that.
Cool.
They don't want to see the same resume they just saw the person back. They're going to choose the one that stands out. So be that person, no matter what degree. Actually, be that person all the time. Just no matter what you go into.
Thank you for that inspirational final note. So we're over time, and I want to make sure and respect everyone's afternoon. I can't thank you all enough, women's health professionals. Thank you, Michelle and Liesel and Kelly and Chelsea, for joining us. The Health Career Pathway team is super grateful for you to dedicate your time, and I know that our ascending health professionals, future health professionals, also do appreciate you donating your time and your expertise and your inspiration to us today. So thanks again on behalf of the whole team. And then once again, big shout out to everybody in attendance. You gave of your time as well this afternoon, and I hope that you're taking away something meaningful, whether it be a little nugget or something monumental. Do not hesitate to get in touch with questions. We would love to remain in touch. And I'm wishing everybody a fabulous Friday afternoon. It's Friday after all. Wonderful Friday afternoon and a wonderful weekend. And thanks a lot, everyone. You all keep well. Bye-bye now.